So you mentioned did some voice acting there, but you also did voice acting for the Minecraft story mode. They have your actual character, and you did the voiceover for that. Tell me how that experience came about and how that was.
Yeah, again, very much the opportunity came through YouTube. If I wasn't doing videos, I would never have made it as a voice actor. I just don't think I have the amount of skill that it takes. I follow some really cool voice actors, and their skill is really a sight to behold, or rather, a sight to behear. I don't know. Um, but I haven't honed my skill or anything. But I was very honored that they let me have a go.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp and Skizz podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they do. They always do.
Yeah. Clap for me. Beautiful.
I almost clapped. But what? You just never asked me this before, but okay.
Awesome. All right. We're off to the races. You want to kick us off?
Oh, I thought that was the intro. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it can be.
I knowing Skizz, I'm like, yeah, he's just gonna make that the intro.
It will be now.
Yeah, it is. We're off to the races. We got Lizzie back.
There it is.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back. Yeah, love having you. Obviously, and we're going to talk a little bit more about actual Lizzie. Right? We were really heavy, and we still got some Minecraft stuff to cover and YouTube stuff to cover, but. I think that there's a lot of interesting things about Lizzie, who she was, who she is, who she's going to be.
Last episode was LDShadowLady. Now I'm Lizzie. It's a completely different person now, perfect. Actually. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, let's kick things off light. I have a little game for you, if you wouldn't mind partaking. So in your 100th video, you did a Q&A where you responded to questions that were asked. That was a long time ago, probably 10 years or so ago. So I thought it might be fun to re-ask you those questions and see if you still have the same answer or you've changed. Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So first one is, what is your favorite animal?
I'm going to have to say cats.
Okay. So that has changed.
I don't know what I said 10 years ago. Has it changed?
You said panda, but then you waffled for a bit, a little indecisive. Shocker, right? And then you said maybe wolf, I think. So you went from panda to wolf. You weren't quite sure.
Interesting.
Now it's cat.
Okay. I don't even know who I am anymore. I've changed. Wow, you're making me realize things I never.
Well, that sounds like the question was, what's your favorite Minecraft? I guess maybe
no, because back then pandas weren't there.
Yeah.
You know what? It was very much an aesthetic thing. Back in the past, I was all about the vibe of panda and wolf. But now I've grown, I've matured. I've got to think of it more holistically now. Would I want to be in the room with a panda or a wolf? Probably not, but I would love to be in the room with a cat. So I think that's where my answer has evolved.
All right, perfect. So that's changed. That's good. All right, next one. If you were any flavor of fruit, what flavor would you be?
That's a good question. Wow. Fruit. I don't even like the flavor. I don't like fruit flavored things. I wonder if I said this 10 years ago. I don't even know. I honestly, I'd probably have to go for the low hanging fruit of strawberry because pink hair.
There you go.
And that's a cute fruit. It's a nice flavor, but kind of basic. But okay, I'll go strawberry.
Perfect. Another changed answer there. It was pineapple, and then you again waffled and switched to orange.
Who am I? Who am I? I don't even recognize myself anymore. Why did I say that?
Right. Okay, final one. This one hopefully is an easy one. If there was only one game you could play for the rest of your life, what game would it be?
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, okay. The answer now. Let me think. The answer now. One game for the rest of... Oh, it would have to be Minecraft. I'm going to say Minecraft. Yeah.
Perfect. Do you know what it was back then?
I would guess that it was World of Warcraft.
Yep, that was what it was back then.
Yeah, I thought it might be.
I
mean, I still like it, but I'd be sad to lose Minecraft now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, knowing that you had played World of Warcraft before, is that something you ever pick up lately?
Yeah, I pick it up every time there's a new expansion. I'm there on the launch day, usually with like Scott and Jimmy. There's a bunch of us that all get together and we do a lot of dungeons together and level together. That's kind of like a tradition that we have for the last few expansions now, and it's great. Although our commitment is not quite as long lasting as, it's not very long lasting, but it's nice to get together for the new expansions and goof around a little bit.
Yeah,
I do love World of Warcraft.
I've never got into it, mainly because I've heard from others how much of a time sink it is. Like, you can really lose yourself in days of your life, Like, I always picture the person in their basement just surrounded by empty Monster cans and empty pizza boxes, who've been on no sleep for 48 hours. Like, was that you back in the day playing World of Warcraft?
I mean, that is me. This is a facade. Like, I am that gamer. Don't let the appearances fool you. I am a degenerate gremlin. I can definitely fall into those pits. And yeah, Joel's seen me in the pits of my World of Warcraft obsession. I will stay up all night. And actually, the day that he proposed to me, he loves to tell this story. He took me on a nice, lovely walk in nature. And I wouldn't shut up about World of Warcraft the entire time. And he was desperately trying to propose or find a minute to propose to me. And I was just talking about World of Warcraft the whole time. I'm surprised he even still went through with it, to be honest.
Dude, that is funny. That is a great story.
Fantastic. I love that.
It's like Sydney keeps reaching in the pocket, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, then this ogre breaks through my." I don't know Warcraft, but
it was pretty much that. That's pretty much the vibe. You've captured it there, yeah.
That's so good. That's so good.
So I one thing I do like to ask, and I didn't ask it last time. What would you add to Minecraft if you could pick anything?
Oh, yeah. Because you ask everybody this, I was thinking about what my answer would be, and I was getting stressed out because I didn't know what my answer would be. And I would love for more, I want to say more animals, but then I heard Doc respond, I think it was Doc, and he said, don't add more animals that are useless. And I'm like, no, maybe he's right. Maybe we shouldn't have more useless animals. So I think I would just like more stuff. I'd like more unexpected things. I love when you come across something in game that you weren't expecting to find there, and I would just love to find more things like that.
Okay, so something like a geode is an unexpected thing, a ruined portal, stuff like that.
And now tricky trial chambers have been added.
I haven't even seen it yet.
I don't know if those are easy to just run across. I think you kind of have to dig and find them or something.
Yeah, but that's sort of what she's saying. It's like you're on a different quest, and you're just like, oh, look what we just stumbled upon. I got to check this out.
Quest.
I can get into that.
She loves her side quests.
Yes, it's the side quest thing again. It's coming back.
Yeah, it's fitting. Lizzie, you made a video a while ago called I Draw My Life or something to that effect. And it was something that I had not seen until we found out you were going to be on this. So we came across that video and I watched it. And full disclosure, first of all, it is a profoundly moving piece. And essentially you're telling the story of what made Lizzie Lizzy. And this was, how long ago was that video? 8 years, 10 years, 6 years?
Oh, at least 10 years.
At least 10 years, yeah. So it was a while ago. And are you just sidebar, are you actually drawing like on some sort of?
Yeah, I drew the little drawings in Flash, and I just recorded the screen of me drawing them in Flash.
Okay.
Because I liked the way it looked in Flash.
Okay. So if anybody can picture this, this is like this is a common medium now to where there's a speaker, there's narration, and then there's somebody drawn on a grease board, and typically the artist is a really, really good artist. This had that much more charm because we talked about it. We're not really artists, but you were very much getting the point across.
I thought it was really good. I don't know.
Hey, well, it's much
no,
better.
I'm not an artist. I've seen some really good art.
Let me put it this way:
it was better than what I could do for sure.
It was better than what we could do, but that's not saying much. So it was, but it was good. It was definitely it was just above good enough to where it was very clear what you were doing, and the pictures had a lot of charm, but the story was very real, and I enjoyed it, but it was hard to get through because you didn't hold any punches back, and you were very honest and very, very vulnerable. I'd like to go back and ask you now, what was your motivation in creating that piece? Because you got very vulnerable, and did you know that you were going to get that vulnerable going into it?
So to answer the first question about my motivations behind it, the reason was that, everybody was doing these Draw My Life videos. There was quite a big trend at the time. Just to explain, their backstory, where they came from. And I was hesitating because obviously, for anyone that's seen the video, it's quite, it can be quite dark in some parts, unexpectedly. And I wasn't sure how to share that. So I kept putting it off, and I said, if I ever get to 1 million subscribers, I'll post a Draw My Life. Thinking I would never get to 1 million subscribers, by the way. That was an outlandish goal at the time, and I never thought I would have to deal with the consequences of my promise. But it got to 1 million subscribers somehow, and oh gosh, was it 1 million subscribers? I can't remember, but it was some milestone that I must have hit. And yeah, I made it to that milestone, and I realized that I had to make good on my promise now. And I was ready to share my story. I'm not, ashamed of my past. I think it's really turned me into the person I am today, for good and for worse. It is who I am. And I think sharing that has been a positive thing. At the time, it was very scary putting all that information out there about my family and, how I dealt with it. And some parts probably when I was younger, I would have found embarrassing. I really didn't like sharing my home life with my school friends, for example. But the older I got, the more I realized, well, that's not something I have to be embarrassed about. I'm going to tell people what I went through. Maybe they can understand me a little bit better then and understand why I am the way I am. And even maybe, unfortunately, quite a few people can relate to the same struggles and maybe see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And that is what I found, that by sharing such awful things, it has had a really positive impact on not just myself, but other people, being able to relate to it and maybe getting some help that they needed, or even being able to put a name to some of the things that they're going through. And I'm so glad that it's up there now, and I'll always leave it up forever because it's a huge part of who I am.
That's incredible.
Did you watch the whole thing in Pulse?
I did, and I had no idea. But at the same time, I think I went through the same emotions that a lot of your viewers have left in the comments. That like it's so nice to see somebody be vulnerable and share their story and understand. I was able to relate in certain ways. Like, okay, I kind of. I have friends and families I've seen go through some of the same type of things, and it really made it more like relatable. Like, okay, this is great. Like, I'm not alone in this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was. So you were in your early 20s when you made this video, and I think what ended up striking me was there was a tremendous amount of wisdom behind the way the story was being told. So and for the record, anybody who's interested in seeing this, it's not all dark. It's a great video, but there is this component of it where it was very jarring. But like I said, very vulnerable. But I think the wisdom I speak of was the fact that you were delivering everything as such a matter of fact. Like you were literally telling the story of Lizzie's journey, almost like you weren't Lizzie telling it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were like, there was like no emotion behind the narration. And to me, that added, that gave so much, meat to the story itself, because it was here's the information, do with it what you will. And you would open the window to how you felt or how you're feeling now, meaning as you're narrating, but you would only crack the window. You would just crack it a little bit. So there was definitely there was human in there, but it didn't overstay its welcome. You know what I mean? It was just very informative. It was very, very moving. And it was very, I mean, I hate using this next word. It was really, really interesting. You know, it's hard to say that. It was obviously
life is interesting.
Yeah.
Humans have very interesting lives.
Yeah. And everybody's got a story to tell. And that's something I've always wanted to do and I've never done. But I remember as a kid, I'd be somewhere. If I saw some old man sitting by himself at a table, I'd always want to go over and just say, tell me your story. You know what I mean? And I never did. The only time I ever did that was when I was working at Costco as a young kid, and the movie Saving Private Ryan had just come out. And anybody who's ever seen Saving Private Ryan, it's a war movie, and it's very hard to watch, to the point to where it came with some disclaimers for anybody that was a pastime war vet. And I saw this old gentleman pick it up and stare at it for about a minute without moving. And I went over and I'm like, so you were in the war? He's like, I was. And I said, tell me about it. And he did. And the stories were unreal, like unreal. But my point being that it were very dark and awful, but it was interesting to me. And your story had some darkness to it. But it was very, very interesting. And then you softened the blow by doing these cute little pictures to talk about. Like, it was just it was like one of the most fascinating videos I've ever seen. And to be honest, it was the first video I've seen in several months that had me that captivated. My attention span sucks. And it was like, I'm always thinking about something else. I'm always doing something else. You want to know something? You're going to hate this. Sometimes while I'm editing, I'm playing poker. Because my mind, I need to be doing two things. Like I have 2 or 3 things. Sometimes I need to be doing 2 or 3 things. That video, I was doing nothing while I was watching that video. So this is everybody go watch it. Because it's called, what is it? I Draw My Life or something?
Just Draw My Life. I think it's just LDShadowLady Draw My Life.
Yeah. Type that in and you're going to find it.
Was it a bit of a shock that we came across that and brought that up? Or do people still mention that to you today?
I think it's one of the videos that people sort of go to for facts about me, because I don't share a lot of my lifestyle nowadays. So I think people are like, who is this LDShadowLady character? And that is such a wealth of information just in that one video. So I think I've seen a lot of sort of, when a wiki page will just straight up rip a script from a video, and that's the video that they choose. They sort of regurgitate the knowledge from that video as that's my wiki entry, which is interesting.
This is great. So, because typically when you go to like a wiki to research somebody, you question whether or not the information is going to be accurate, right? So it's nice to hear it from the person themselves. So let's put it to the test right now. There is a statement in the wiki that says you were drawn to Joel because of his dancing skills. Is that true?
Okay. No, I'll say yes and no. So it wasn't the dancing skills that was what drew me to him, because they were not good. I can remember that very clearly. What drew me to him was that the fact that he was willing to get up and make a fool out of himself for just for fun. And I really like that about him. I consider myself quite an easygoing person. I love to have a laugh. I don't take myself too seriously. So I really looked for that in a partner, and Joel seemed to just immediately, right off the bat, fit the bill. He was so easy to talk to. And yeah, with a little bit of egging on from his friends, he was more than happy to get up on stage and make a fool out of himself. And that was what drew me to him, I just love that about him.
That's awesome. So yeah, we had Joel on the show a couple weeks ago. And so obviously he did talk about you, and our audience is aware that you're now married. Congratulations.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
But you guys met, if I'm not mistaken, it was a convention called GamesCon. Is that right?
Game Fest. I think there was only one. Yeah.
There's only one. And so that was what, a decade ago as well, I suppose?
2011 that was.
More than a decade.
13 years ago, yeah.
So you guys ran into each other, and I think at least again, now I'm questioning everything that the wiki says. You guys, once you met, you went around the convention collecting free stuff. Is that true?
That's true. That is true. Yeah, because they have all the freebies like posters and bits and bobs, and
I found that interesting because that's exactly what I would be doing too. Skizz can attest. He
loves his swag,
free swag. Yeah.
Him and my brother.
I don't like it anymore. Like, I will do my best to avoid taking home stuff like that now. But back in the day, like that was all I wanted, was things to stick on my wall and go on my shelf and things like that.
Yeah, it can get overwhelming when you start to collect too much and you're like, where do I put this?
Yeah, am I definitely hit that point.
So you also mentioned in that video that you were going to school for animation for a while there. Was that for like cartoon animation? Sorry? Or what is...
It was it was computer animation and visualization, and that was a university course. So that was my bachelor's degree. And about halfway through that is where I hit 1 million subscribers, and I thought, am I going to finish this, or am I just going to quit and do YouTube? But I did finish it in the end. It has not really come in handy that much. I did on the course learn a bit of Java. I learned about the rendering pipeline. did a bit of 3ds Max, like 3D modeling that maybe came in handy a little bit. But it was helpful. I think just going to university was helpful in other ways, you know, in terms of organizing myself and putting a project together. I didn't necessarily have to go there for computer animation. And it was more sort of code animation. It was like Flash and yeah, to be honest, I picked the course. It's a long story, but really what I really wanted to do was do a gap year working at Disney, doing the cultural representatives program there. And I didn't get a place. So then I panicked and I realized I had to pick a university course. And I just picked that one sort of like on a whim and thought that sort of aligns with what I wanted to do. Oh no, actually that's not even what I did. So I went to university for computer forensics. And I did a year of that. But then a year in, they told me the job prospects. There was really only one career that you can make a living in with computer forensics, and it wasn't the kind of thing that I felt that I could do. Yeah. So I had to pivot at that point to computer animation, which seemed more aligned with my YouTube, which was ongoing at the time. That's what it was. It's not a very interesting story. It's kind of a mess.
No, but it showed your interest in it, and somehow, and I don't know if it's tied at all, but you got to talk to me about this Pixar tour that you did with Coco. I like Pixar. I've always wanted to be involved in Pixar somehow. And so you did a tour there. Walk us through that, because you actually did a little bit of voice acting while you were there.
Yeah, I tried that out. Yeah. So luckily through YouTube, I've had some really amazing opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had. And some of them have been working closely with Disney, who at the time had like a YouTube branch. They really wanted to have some YouTubers, and I was under their YouTube branch. And they had an opportunity to go out there for the film Coco. And I got to see like an advanced screening of the first half of the film, which they had finished at the time that I was there. So I saw half the film about a year before the rest of it came out. Wow. And I was desperate to see the rest of the film because I'm like, well, how does this end? So it was actually very torturous. But yeah, it was amazing seeing just like all the concept art and how many people go into making a movie and how well thought out every single detail of these computer animations, how much goes into it. I could have never fathomed. Even having a background in computer animation with my university degree, that was very much a small scale operation. You know, it's my dissertation, which I'm working on alone, which is a very small scale project compared to a multi-million-dollar movie that has hundreds of people working on it and people all over the globe, and the amount of technology that they're inventing to make these films is just absolutely mind-boggling. But yeah, that was a really cool opportunity. I've had some really cool opportunities just through doing YouTube that it's actually, sometimes I have to pinch myself because I get not imposter syndrome, but I sometimes think, what if I'm just completely deluded and I'm not doing any of this stuff and I'm just sat in like a rocking chair somewhere inventing that I've become this Minecraft YouTuber. I don't know. It's hard to believe sometimes.
It's amazing. So you mentioned did some voice acting there, but you also did voice acting for the Minecraft story mode. They have your actual character and you did the voiceover for that. Tell me how that experience came about and how that was.
Yeah, again, very much the opportunity came through YouTube. If I wasn't doing videos, I would never have made it as a voice actor. I just don't think I have the amount of skill that it takes. I follow some really cool voice actors, and their skill is really a sight to behold. Or rather, a sight to be here. I don't know. But I haven't honed my skill or anything. But I was very honored that they let me have a go. And I played myself in an episode of Minecraft Story Mode. And there's sort of a 50-50% chance that the player accidentally kills me in their gameplay. And I think most people got the LDShadowLady dead ending. Well, it's not the ending, but I think they accidentally killed me along the way. I think I accidentally killed myself, when I played through it, because I made a mistake and then it ended up with myself dead. But that was so fun. It was really fun to be given a script and be on the other side of it, because I'm usually like directing and deciding, you know, all the editing and stuff. So it was really fun to literally just be told what's going to happen, and then I just get to provide my voice.
That's awesome.
That's when we had Jimmy on the show, that was something that him and I shared, is that voice acting is sort of an occupation we'd both really love to try out, you know, and give a go. So watching you at Pixar in front of the screen and speaking into it, I was like, man, that's what I want to do. And it was
really hard, actually. I think they had me do a scene where the character, and I think I was the character of, I remember exactly. It was the guy in the office that like sneezes when they walk in.
Yep.
So they had me voice acting that, and I had to fake a sneeze, I think. And it was surprisingly hard to sync it up to what I was seeing and then make my voice match that. I know that's not how it always goes, but for that is definitely a skill that needs some practice.
Well,
so if you want to go into it, get practicing now.
Yeah, well, I think it almost is never like that. I think the voice actors do the thing, then the animators write the animation to the sound waves. And that whole thing. Instead, she was given and you had to time it, and it looked really, really difficult, but it looked like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. I do love, like I said, I'm a side quest queen, so I love trying different things. I'm amazed that I got to tick off that side quest. Never thought that I would be there in a million years, but there I was.
Well, side quest people, typically their bucket list is a giant bucket. What do you still want to do? What are the things that you haven't quite checked off yet?
That's a good question. Oh, wow. I guess I don't know yet, because the second I think of something that I want to do, I kind of start doing it. What do I want to do? I'm not like a big traveler. I feel like I've done all my traveling now.
Yeah, I think
I don't even know. I don't have an interesting answer.
I was just going to ask about your traveling, because you recently went to Japan, you and Joel, right?
Yeah.
And was that for business or just because you wanted to travel and experience it?
We've never been to Japan before, so we really were desperate to fly over to that side of the world and just see what it's like over there. And I planned out a trip where we would do all the big main touristy bits, and it was really cool. It was a really good trip. I really enjoyed it, and it was nice to do a trip that had no work obligations, no convention, no recording to do or anything like that. We did go out with a few friends. So yeah, we love traveling with friends as well. That's another sort of passion of ours.
And you have traveled to the United States, I think, a few times. You actually lived in, was it Virginia for a while?
Yep.
With family? Yeah. And then you came out for Whip's wedding, I think? Were you out here? So you got a chance to like experience both sides, I guess, of the U.S. The east side.
Oh yeah, I've done quite a bit. Yeah, I've done like east. We've done Texas, Boston. I've been to quite a few states. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been over here more than I knew. What do you think? What do you think of the United States? Do you have a food that you look forward to consuming when you come here?
Well,
it's okay. You can say you don't like it. We went through this. You can say that you don't like American food. That's okay.
No, it's not that I don't like American food. I don't know. Do you know, I've never really thought about it too much. I'm a big foodie, so I do like food. But I mean, what would you consider American cuisine? What do you have to offer?
I mean, I think the thing mostly just like barbecue, like anything barbecue.
I think burgers and fries.
Burgers and fries are the typical, right? But like, depending on where you're at, like if you're in Texas, they might be like, you got to have brisket, off the barbecue. That's the seasons or whatever. So it really depends on where you go in the United States, actually.
Yeah, because America's so massive that there's such a dynamic menu of culturally based foods based on where you're at. In America.
Go to Boston, you better have had the clam chowder, something like that. Like it really depends on where you go, for sure.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think I've ever done the food tourism side of visiting America. I've definitely tried a lot of the fast food. I can give you my reviews on the fast food.
Yeah, let's hear it.
In-N-Out Burger was really great. Really liked that one. I think for chicken, I think Popeyes was the best. Is that controversial to say? I don't know.
Not to me, it's not. I'm on board.
Yeah, and then McDonald's, I'm so sorry, but your McDonald's is awful.
Oh,
it's
so glad to hear you say
True
that.
story.
It's
True
awful.
story. I agree there too.
There's cardboard in the burgers or something because it does not taste like that in the UK. We occasionally have McDonald's here because it's not very it's not gross, but in America I will avoid it at all costs because it just doesn't. Something about it tastes wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just I'm not used to it or something.
No, it's awful. You were right the first time. And good news. And there's always going to be a long line, and it's really expensive. So it's like I cannot get my head wrapped around it. I'm like, how is McDonald's doing? Why are we ripping on McDonald's? My wife loves McDonald's. She never has it anymore, but she loves it. I'm like, it's
so convenient. I get the convenience, and the menu is so standardized that you just know what you're going to get. So I can see the appeal, but I will always opt for the UK McDonald's over the US McDonald's any day. So Five Guys is good as well.
Yes, I agree on that. That's another one. It's a little overpriced.
It is, but it's pretty good.
Oh, and the fact they give you like a whole bag of French fries that are like the good French fries, like from Idaho, and still like they're freshly peeled.
But they're too thick. I like shoestring.
Did we all just get hungry all of a
sudden? Yeah, I know. Anyway, we got to move on from food.
Well, no, I'm not done. I have one more question because she said she was a foodie. What is your go-to dish at home?
At home? Okay, so here, I don't actually do the cooking. Joel does the cooking. I do the cleaning. That's my job. I can tell you all about my favorite cleaning techniques, but so if I was to ask Joel to cook something though, which he's very good at, so I always request his chili. He does chili like a Mexican chili with jacket potatoes, and I always ask for that. That's my comfort food. That's my favorite. That's if Joel's cooking because he makes that really well. But then if I'm eating out somewhere, I love sushi. So yeah, those two are quite different, but those are my two favorites.
Yeah. They both sound amazing to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna if we're all together, I'm making everybody smash burgers. I'm in on a huge kick. Yeah, and I can make a good smash burger now, dude, and it's gonna have a real In-N-Out type vibe to it too because of the sauce.
Oh yeah, I'm on board for that.
Yeah.
Yes, please invite me over next time you're doing this.
Yes, we're doing that.
Okay, we just made everybody hungry,
I
so
know
we can move on.
Yeah, time to move on.
Let's gross everybody out.
Yeah,
reverse it real quick.
So you, what is next for Lizzie's YouTube career? And I ask this specifically because you've made such an incredibly strong mark. We did the math in the beginning in regards to the 3.4 billion views. Well, I still can't get my head wrapped around that. But what is that? Because you're kind of at a zone where it feels like you could almost try anything. Have you considered trying a completely different game and just giving it a go just to see if you wanted to make something spin out of it?
I would consider it. I would consider anything at this point. I would say I'm definitely on a bit of a hiatus right now. I haven't been uploading for a couple of months. I think I just finished a series on Minecraft and I don't have the next big idea in my head yet. And so I'm waiting for that idea to come. I'm gathering inspiration from elsewhere in my life and experiencing the world, hoping that at some point either a new game will pop up that I like the look of, or a new idea will pop into my head, or one of my friends will pop up with an idea that I'm super on board with, and I look at and I think, yeah, that I can do that, and I'm excited to do that, and I know I can do a good job of that. I'm sort of just waiting for that at the minute, because I feel like I'm past the phase of my YouTube channel where I'm making videos to make videos. Mm-hmm. I've said this before. I'm like semi-retired. I'm not making YouTube videos for a job at the minute because I don't want it to turn into a grind. It is just a hobby of mine right now, and I love doing it. So I don't want to force myself to make videos when I don't have good ideas. So what's in the future of my channel? I don't know yet, but I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will come, and it will be a surprise to me and you and everybody. But yeah, I never know. To be honest, that's how I've always run my channel. Is I don't know what's coming next. don't really plan that far ahead. Some of the best series or best ideas that have, you know, been the best for my channel and been the best for me creatively have just come off a whim. You know, somebody suggested an idea once and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I'll do that. And I've loved it. So I'll know it when I see it, whatever it is.
Well, what a great place. What a great place to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know
I'm very lucky to be able to do that and not have to, like, it's very stressful to have to come up with the next creative idea. It's hard to force creativity and without getting burnt out. Luckily, Joel also, you know, he's great at what he does. I admire his work ethic where he can do that. He can sit down and decide what to make and let himself just get stuck in, and he'll just sit down and work. And I'm definitely more driven by I need a bit of passion and motivation to get me to sit down and do something well, whereas he has the discipline to be able to sit down and make a good product, a good video, without needing whatever I need. I call it my mojo. Sometimes I lose it. Sometimes I lose my mojo, but he doesn't need that.
Yeah, he's got an engine. We've seen it in on the Hermitcraft server.
He can just
week we log in. It's like, what?
Yeah.
When did he do that? It's crazy. Yeah. So I got to tell you, I see a lot of the videos both on your channel and Joel's channel where you two are together and doing certain things, and I really, really enjoy them. So as Skizz is asking what's next, I'm going to ask you, will there be more of those in the future, you think?
I hope so. Although I've seen a lot less of Joel since he joined Hermitcraft, I've got to say. You guys have kind of been hogging Joel. If you don't mind, going to have him back maybe on the weekends. Yeah, so I would love to do more stuff with him. Obviously, we've always, not from the very beginning, obviously I started my channel before I met him, but from pretty early on, I recognized that he is, I would say, like maybe my comedy partner. You know, I think we just really bounce off each other well. I don't know if it's all the practice that we have, you know, joking around with each other off camera, that when we get on camera, it's just easy. But he's always my go-to if I have a project and I need basically a co-host, you know, somebody to do a challenge with or something. He will always be my favorite person to do those with, just because we know each other so well. And but it's never, you know, it's never boring because you know, he, as long as we have a good concept, we can keep things fresh. And while he's predictable in a good way, so I know how to set up a joke where he's going to take the bait. And, you know, I think we both have a few sort of like inside jokes as well. And the audience shares those with us too, where they're sort of on board with it and they also get the joke because they've seen us interact together so many times. So I would love to do more stuff with Joel. I just don't know what that is yet, but I hope that he invites me to do some stuff with him as well, because I also like to make appearances on his channel. Because I love to see what he's doing.
So,
I love to be involved.
Yeah,
I would say myself, along with 7.2 million people out there, would struggle greatly to imagine a YouTube world where Lizzie is not in it. But had something changed in the past or put you on a different path, where do you think you are today if you never went down the YouTube path? What's Lizzie doing right now if you didn't do this?
I think I would probably be a teacher because that was my original goal. But I did do a bit of teacher training, which went disastrously wrong because a lot of the students eventually recognized me and only cared about the fact that I was a YouTuber. But that would have been the path that I took. And it's so incredibly hard, though. I don't know if you know any teachers in your everyday life, and I'm assuming it's quite similar to
my
wife.
My wife's been a teacher. She's been a teacher for over 20 years.
I don't know if maybe you've mentioned that, so maybe I did know that. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, as you know, then it's incredibly hard, and it just takes a lot of your time and dedication, and you just have to go above and beyond as a teacher, especially a good teacher. So I think I would love to be doing that. I don't know if I have the guts for it. I don't know if I have the stamina for it. I would love to, but yeah, it's hard to know if I would have been able to withstand the pressures of that job. But that would have been my goal.
That's interesting. So that's an interesting story. You mentioned that last time that you tried your hand in it and it went poorly because of your persona. Let's walk me through that. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so it was 2019 and I had been doing YouTube for 7 years at that point. And I thought, this probably won't last forever. I should probably get myself, trained up to do whatever I'm going to do next. And I obviously before that I'd always wanted to be a teacher. I don't know why, just something about imparting wisdom and guiding younger people through things was always it felt like my calling. So I signed up to a course and I went through the whole university part of it where you sit through lectures on different teaching methods and, safeguarding and all the paperwork and organization and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, right, I'm ready for this. I feel like I can be good at this. I know what I'm doing. And I got placed in a school for, work experience. That's part of the course is you have to go work in a school. And the first few days there, obviously I told the school, oh, hey, on the side, I'm a YouTuber. I've got 5 million subscribers. That may come up. Hopefully not, though. I'm going to go, obviously I'm using my legal name and I also dyed my hair a little bit darker. So I was really hoping that I could sort of skirt under the radar. So the school knew and they were fine with it. And I went into the school and I was working with really young kids at the start. So they were not on YouTube. They were, I don't know how old, 5 or 6 years old. So they weren't on YouTube. They weren't watching my videos. They had no idea who I was. And that was fine. It was really rewarding. And I could see myself doing that long term, except for how freaking hard it is. It's really, really hard. And, I could just see the teacher that I was shadowing. I could see how overworked she was. And I was, oh, geez, how am I going to do this? I don't know. But it was going quite well. And then I had to do like a playground duty where you sort of have to go to the playground and it's the whole school just, running around. You're just monitoring. And that was when I started to get a few sort of like looks of like, and I was a few too many people sort of whispering in the corner and like pointing at me. And I thought, oh no, it's happened. It's happening. I think people might have clocked on. And from there, it went around the whole school, I think. And a lot of the kids were coming up to me and I was trying to be very professional about it and say, yes, I am a YouTuber in my spare time, but in school, I'm Mrs. So-and-so. So let's just keep it like this. This is in school. And, if you have any questions, maybe I'll do an assembly about the YouTube thing another time. But then it just got a little bit out of hand and I'd be sat at the back of the assembly trying to, monitor behavior. And there'd just be children turning around and, pointing at me still and like whispering about me. And I just sat there and I thought, what am I doing? I have no business being here.
Wow.
Like cosplaying as a teacher when I should probably be at on YouTube doing what I'm known for doing. And I was still doing YouTube on the side as well. And it was quite hard to do both with full force, obviously. Because YouTube is what you make of it. You can put 10% in or you can put 100% in. And when I'm doing YouTube, I like to put 100% in, which is why then I have to take breaks. Because otherwise, you can't give 100% of the time. I ended up leaving the course and I haven't written it off forever, although I have seen how hard it is. I keep saying that, but like, guys, it's so hard. It looks so hard to be a teacher. I think they're just underappreciated. So
you are 100% correct. You are right. That is one of the most thankless jobs. My wife's been doing it for over 20 years and she still puts everything into it. And she's an English teacher. She teaches at a high school and she's an English teacher and she's also the cheer coach. And she's just so, she's overwhelming, so consumed all the time. And it zaps your energy and it zaps like your emotions because the journey that you didn't have to get exposed to just yet is that it's the kids are not the problem. It's the parents. And especially today's day and age is that the parents themselves have become fantastically entitled. And so it's just this weird dynamic that you have to navigate. And She's been doing over 20 years and still rocking it, but you're right. It's a fulfilling job and there's a lot of honor in it. There's no question there, but it is definitely a hard gig and thankless.
Yeah.
So
I feel like you can always be doing more as well. You know, like you could be giving it 100%, but like it demands 150% or 160 from you.
Yeah, it's incredible. So was there a point when your YouTube channel started to grow that you had that realization like, oh, this might be my job instead of, what you were going to school for? Like, was there a certain moment where that just clicked and you're like, oh, I'm just going to focus on this and make this my job? Or was that just like a gradual thing that you woke up one day and you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is my job now?
I think it was the latter, actually. I think it sort of gradually snuck up on me. I consider the growth of my channel to be quite sort of, I don't know, just like pretty steady. It felt that way from the inside. I didn't have like an overnight explosion of popularity or anything like that, which I'm so thankful for, by the way, because I think there'd be nothing more stressful than having to develop as a creator and a public persona overnight in front of so many people. So I'm glad that I had that sort of more steady trajectory. And I think it did help me to make good decisions along the way, to be able to just, to handle the job of YouTube in a better way as well. Because I think it is a weird job. It is a very strange job. I don't even know. It's such a new concept. Even being a sort of minor celebrity now is sort of different from being a celebrity of the past, where you'd have all these like PR agencies and you couldn't, you could maybe do an interview with a magazine, but that was the most interaction you'd have with your fan base. And now the interaction that you can have with your fan base is so different to it's developed so much in the past 10 years. It's kind of scary. It's a very uncharted territory is this career, and we are chartering it.
Yeah. It would be a bit of the wild, wild west at times. And have you struggled with either family or friends and trying to explain this whole thing to them? Because I obviously have older parents and they didn't understand it. I always make the joke, and I think they've probably heard it now enough that they don't do it anymore. But anytime like my parents' friends would be like, "Oh, so what does your son do?" They'd say, "Oh, he plays Minecraft for a living." And I'm like, "Oh,
that's not quite accurate." But...
No, you gotta stop telling. But do you find that you find yourself in those situations where, as you're explaining to your friends or family like what it is that you do for a living, that it's like, what? How do you make money?
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
So I still see my mom, and I care for my mom at the moment, and I just don't think she has a concept of what, like, she's not in the realm of YouTube or online or anything at all. So I don't even think she knows what I do. I feel like it would be really weird for me to tell her, "Oh, I've got loads of subscribers, by the way, and loads of people are fans of me." I feel like that'd be weird for me to say to her. So I don't know if my mum even knows what it is that I do. So she has no comprehension of it whatsoever. Whereas Joel's parents are very involved in, they kind of have more understanding of what YouTube is and the ramifications of what we do. And, they're with us sometimes when we'll go on holiday together, and there'll be people who recognize us and they understand why that is. So it's very different depending on the person. I think people that are more tech savvy definitely have a better understanding of the nature of YouTube because they can relate. I mean, Joel's mum is a huge fan of Joe Wicks, who is also a YouTuber. So I think being the fan of a YouTuber immediately equips you with the ability to understand that YouTubers exist and that, somebody has to do that job. Whereas if you're just, if you watch TV and that's your source of entertainment is very traditional media, then you probably don't quite understand YouTube because it's so different from TV, like characters and TV is usually at least a 30-person team in a studio, whereas YouTube is just one person in their room most of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how I always explained it to my own mom.
Yeah.
And when I taught, I was like even with this podcast, I'm like, Impulse sets it all up and I end up editing it later. And And I was like, and there's a lot of complications because whenever you see like a news show, there's like 15 people behind the camera monitoring everything, the whole time and making sure that audio is good. We're not getting any crossover. We're not, there's people that's entire teams, but in the YouTube world, it's a one-man show.
I've been doing that this entire interview.
Monitoring.
Is the peak audio levels peaking? Oh, is the camera frozen over there? How's the light?
No, you're not. No, you're not. Everything's in place.
Yeah, you're doing the job of like 7 people.
Yeah.
You're the sound guy, the lighting guy, the camera guy.
It is. There's a lot to learn. We touched on it earlier when I asked you like were you self-taught with editing. I just think it is. I like to have this conversation because I have young kids. And I hear them and talking to their friends, and I hear how prevalent it is for kids growing up now that YouTube is a thing, and they're seeing YouTubers get rich and famous and all this kind of stuff, and they want to go into that profession, not understanding or not quite comprehending how much goes into it behind the scenes. And so I do like having these conversations about, oh, you got to do more than play video games. You got to understand how editing software works. You got to understand how recording software works. A lot of times there's like audio engineering. Like you said, with the Life series, you basically had, however many people you ran into, that many WAV files that you had to manage in your editing and cuts and stuff and bringing up volumes and all that kind of stuff. And there's just a ton that goes into it, not to mention making thumbnails. We didn't ask you if you make your own thumbnails or not, but
I do. And if you could probably tell because they look homemade, but I like that about them.
I mean, me too. I'm terrible at like that side of things because I'm not good at visualizing something in my head. I have to put it on a surface before I understand whether or not it's good. And so, with Photoshop, when I used to make thumbnails, a lot of times it's trial and error. I'll throw something on there that I think is going to look good, and then I make it real small. Like somebody's going to look at it on their phone.
I do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, does that still look good when it's really small? And then I'm like, no, something's off about the composition. But I'm not an artist that's
me either.
grown this skill, so I'm not sure how to fix it half the time. So there's just a lot that it takes to do well in this space, and a lot of it's self-learned, or we have to watch videos on YouTube. YouTubers watching videos on YouTube how to be a YouTuber. It's kind of an interesting gig that we're in right now, and it's sometimes hard to explain to friends and family. That's why I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, and you mentioned also that your kids want to be YouTubers. Is that something that you would want them to do? Like, is that a path that you would like them to take?
Not necessarily. So I have 2 daughters. My older daughter was one that was asking about getting into streaming, and she was at that time still kind of early teens. And I could tell that she hadn't quite grown that self-confidence to deal with what I knew she would inevitably be dealing with, because we do get a bit of vitriol online and people kind of like trying to poke at our weakest spots, right? Which can be very hard if you don't have the self-confidence to overlook that and not let it affect you. And so at the time, I talked her out of it, basically, just because I knew I couldn't be there to be a moderator for her to make sure she never saw that stuff. Right. And I knew that if she did see that stuff, it would probably impact her in a negative way that I couldn't help her through. Or I was worried I wouldn't be able to help her through it. And so I did actually end up talking my daughter out of pursuing that.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm on the same page as you there. I obviously don't have children of my own, but going through the YouTube, luckily I started it at 18, 19. So I was a little bit older. But even then, it can have an interesting impact on people, especially fame at a young age. And you have to really separate yourself as a person from the persona that you're presenting online. And I think that's the really hard part, not just on, professionally as a YouTuber, but in any form of social media now, everyone's sort of putting on a bit of a persona and presenting a bit of something. And I think it's kind of scary that basically everybody's a content creator nowadays. Whether you think of it as you're a professional or not, you're creating content and putting it online and basically allowing people to judge it. And some people are doing that without any kind of training or any kind of support system behind them. And especially if you blow up in popularity overnight, that can be quite daunting and possibly quite dangerous as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
I think you made the right call.
Yeah, I think it's, and I think it's a matter of understanding what you're getting into ahead of time, which is why I like having these conversations. So maybe people that hear this can determine for themselves, do I have the confidence, or do I have the wherewithal to deal with that? You know what I mean? Because sometimes it can almost feel like bullying did in school, right? Like I know you said that you didn't get bullied a lot in school, but we've seen it. And you can see how that impacts people. Like that can happen online, even outside the content creation space. It happens online, but inside the content creation space, because we're putting our art out there to be judged, you got to be able to deal with the judgment, and that's up to the individual to determine whether or not they're capable of dealing with that when they make this decision on whether or not to put themselves out there, right? I think that's for everybody to decide. I'm not saying I think most people shouldn't go into this profession. I think there's plenty of people that can handle it.
Well, I do when I'm streaming, people are asking for advice on life a lot, which is, I mean, it's very flattering, but I want to give them the right answer, but I'm not always going to have it. But a common question I get is, hey, I'm thinking about going into streaming. I'm thinking about going into YouTube. Any advice? And I'm like, develop a thick skin real fast.
Yeah.
Because that is going to be your biggest line of defense, is separating how much investment you put into what others think about you, because this is a platform where, like you said, Lizzie, we're creating our own little babies and putting it out there for the world to judge over and over and over and over and over and over. That is what it is. Judge my babies over and over again. Right. And so if you cannot take, the nastiness that's inevitably coming your way, it's going to shut you down quite fast. So I don't think there's anything wrong with people trying it, but at the same time, you can have the thickest skin, you can have all the talent in the world, you're going to have some luck. And so since that's the case, then I would say give it a go, but have something else in mind, because this is like showbiz. You're not, it's very likely not going to work out. And so you got to be cool with that. So have something else in the pocket, that would be my advice.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that you getting the success on YouTube was luck? Would you go that far?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just right place, right time. Like, I obviously think that I was the right person for it as well, but there are lots of people that could do what I do. They're, developing the skills that I've developed, that anyone could do that. Anyone can learn to edit, I believe. And a lot of people are very, very good at it, a lot better than I am even. And a lot of people can do Photoshop and art and Minecraft building, or even like entertaining commentary. A lot of people have all the pieces of the puzzle, the same pieces of the puzzle that I have. We're all making, everyone can do the same thing. I think the one thing that has helped me a lot as well is just really having the passion for it, that I've really been enjoying it this whole time. I always loved it back then, and I still love it now, which makes it really easy to keep doing it. So even when the chips are down and the views are down, or there's not much interest, I will still keep doing it because I love doing it. What else would I do with my time? Like, this is my hobby. This is for fun. So I think, I do have all the right pieces of the puzzle, and they fit together to make a YouTuber, but I needed the look to sort of unlock access to the sort of success side of it, because I think you could be a good YouTuber and you can make really good videos and never see the financial or popularity success that you expect from somebody that makes good videos. But I
actually have a phrase that unpacks the word luck a little bit, that's taped to my microphone at my desk, and it says, luck happens when hard work meets opportunity. So kind of like you said, you could be really good and a hard worker, but if it lacks the opportunity, then that luck may not occur. And so we've kind of got into this space because we're all hard workers. I can vouch for all three of us. And we happen to come across the opportunity at the right time when that hard work would pay off in that opportunity to put us in this position we're in now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know about you guys, but when I started my YouTube channel, like everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was so cringe for making videos that nobody was watching, and they would pull up, like some of my friends would pull up my videos and like make fun of me for them, like, "Hey guys, who are you talking to? There's nobody watching." And at the time, it didn't bother me. I was like water off a duck's back because I knew that I loved what I was doing, and I didn't care if it was one person or two people watching it. I was still gonna make my videos, But yeah, did you have the same where people really doubted you when you started it and thought that you were just out of your mind?
I questioned whether or not I was going to keep going about 1,000,000 times through this process.
Yeah.
I mean, and Skizz will tell the story of me telling him I'm quitting, like multiple times as well, and he's like, "No, you're not. You're gonna, and so yeah, you just kind of have to have faith in yourself, and you just have to keep pushing, even if you're not getting results. Like, it's really hard to grow, especially in the beginning. I went along the same kind of pace as you did, where it was pretty linear. Obviously, with getting on Hermitcraft, that's when it kind of bumped up, and took a different vehicle, if you will. But those first couple years were just me promising, making these false promises to my wife, who kept questioning how much time I was spending on this, a time away from her, or not getting the proper sleep. So I was a zombie the next day and not myself doing the things. And I'd have to just promise her, like, I know it's not making money now, but I'm going to keep trying, and hopefully this will go somewhere, and it'll be worth it. And I just had to have that faith in myself, and kind of faith that it would go somewhere, and it took that just to keep going in the early days, for sure.
Oh wow, I don't think I ever had that faith. I was completely fine with just, if it was 5 people watching, like, that, yay, 5 people. I had no idea when I started that it would ever be a career. So I think that's really interesting that you sort of had like a game plan in mind, and you had like kept reminding yourself that there's a point that you want to get to.
Yeah. I mean, we were juggling full-time jobs and trying to do this and as a hobby / maybe turns into something, and so you kind of have to almost justify that time. Especially if you're taken away from other things, like family, So yeah, it gets
I
difficult.
think it was a bit of a luxury that I started at a time, as a university student or a college student sort of thing, where I had a lot of free time and very little responsibility looking back. Like, people don't question what you're doing when you're a student. They expect you to be wasting your time. So
yeah. Now you actually like lived in what we call dorms over here. I don't know if that's what you call them there. I think you call it a flat.
We call them halls.
Halls, okay.
Or yeah.
So did you have roommates as you were trying to make YouTube videos at the time? How were you able to even do that?
Not roommates. In the UK, we don't share bedrooms. I think that's so weird, by the way. Whenever I see that in American TV shows, I think it's outlandish that you get plopped in your university, and you just get put in a room, and you have to live, eat, sleep, breathe next to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think I could ever do that. No, we get so the kitchen and the communal area is shared, but then everyone has their own bedroom. Is the usual setup in the UK. And I obviously, did that for the first 2 years of university, and I had my own little room. They are quite diddly little rooms with barely any, they got the bare basics. It did have a desk, luckily, so I set up my entire computer on this desk and would just record videos. And it was a little bit of an adjustment at first. I went from being at home, where I felt very comfortable being, a little goofy and making crazy noises and, getting a little bit loud, because sometimes recordings get a little bit loud when you get excited. I went from being able to do that at home to now being a little bit aware that there were people on the other side of the wall that I didn't know very well. But I think I just got over that shyness a little bit, just sort of exposed myself to it and just did it, and realized nobody cared, like nobody questioned what I was doing really. And I'm not really, I used to be very, very shy as a child. I would be so embarrassed to be perceived at all. Like, if the teacher called on me, or if I thought the teacher was going to call on me in class, I would go bright red and choke up and I wouldn't be able to say anything. But I guess now I'm not as shy, I've learned that people are just trying to focus on themselves a lot more than they're really not thinking about you, is what I've realized. The world does not revolve around me, apparently. So yeah, I've become a lot less shy once I realized that everyone's got their own thing going on, and they probably don't care about me recording in my room, saying something silly. They're gonna maybe perk up their ears and be like, that's a weird thing to say, and then they're just gonna go back to what they were doing.
Yeah.
You're right, though. That is like my son was in a dorm last year. He's at college last year, and he got thrown into a room with somebody he didn't know, somebody that's not even a native like American. Like he's new to the country, and so there's that kind of cultural differentiation as well to adjust to.
Yeah.
And then you get those stories because they're basically having to sleep in the same room where one stays up till 3 a.m. and the other one has class at 7 a.m. And so it's not super enjoyable experience. So at least you guys had your own rooms, even though you could probably hear each other through the walls, as you said.
Yeah, it was enough privacy to be, you could hang out with your flatmates or your hallsmates, but you could just equally just avoid them if you really wanted to, and if you were really shy, that was what I tended to do. I just can't wrap my head around this sharing a bedroom with a stranger, like. And you're in a strange country, you're in a strange like city as well. Mm-hmm. You don't have your family and friends nearby. It's always the thing in American movies that I couldn't get my head around.
I'll tell you, it's a real thing. It's not just
movies.
I
felt like it's real.
Yeah.
It's very prison-esque.
Yeah. Kind of is. Yeah. Welcome to college.
Go meet your soulmate. Hopefully you guys get along.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jeez, unreal. Well, I'll tell you what, Lizzie, I sure hope our paths cross again. I hope that there's a collab in the future.
They will.
I'm avoiding her in next life
season.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. You're just going to have to zip up whenever I come near, because I'm recording always.
Yeah, no, like you said, I can't wait to, hopefully get another life series with you or whatever happens. We did a fun little, what was it? April Fool's
Oh my
thing?
God, that was so
Remember
funny.
when they had like a weird update and we just goofed around in the little snapshot? Like stuff like that is super fun. So hopefully we'll get more chances like that to do some side projects and stuff.
I remember there was a time in that where we all went to the moon, and I don't even know if Lizzie knew that people were listening to her, but she minds it up and she looks at the name of it and she goes, Insta Cheese. Ew. It was like the funniest thing in the world. Ew.
That's my favorite thing about the voice mod is you just catch little things. You never know if anyone's listening.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But thank you so much for coming on and recording 2 parts with us, and so multiple hours of your time tonight. We're different time zones, obviously, so appreciate you taking the time away. And
thank you for having me.
Tell Joel we said thank you as well for donating his wife's time.
Oh yeah, his entire setup as well that I've just stolen. I'll probably have to give that back now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put that back together because I think he's got a live stream next week that he needs to attend to. So. Actually, by the time this comes out, that's in the past. Oh, it's so weird. These always. I don't even.
The timelines are all crossed over now.
I know. Yeah.
Yes. No, that will now have been in the past because this is part 2.
This will come out in 13 days.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm sure that he won.
I'm rooting for him because he's my teammate. So I need him to carry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna win. Don't worry. Joel's really good.
Yes,
he's so good at Minecraft. I'm sure that you know what you're
It's
sorted.
done.
Congratulations to you guys for winning.
Yeah, good job.
I should
Thank
say.
you. Can't wait to get my coin or whatever prize it is.
You better win now, dude.
I know, right? No, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Lizzie. Thank you so much for joining us, and this was super fun time.
Thank you for having me. Yes. I'm a long-time fan of the podcast, so I'll be watching my own episode. It'll be so weird.
Oh no!
And congrats on 100 episodes as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. You did great.
You were like all jokes aside, amazing guest. You were very interesting and such a delight to be around. So thanks for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Okay, see you later.
See you guys.